Hey everyone, welcome to Witchcraft 101. Recently I wanted to share this news with you guys that my workings with Hecate have definitely given much fruit. I always thought that she were this goddess of the crossroads, of the underworld. Just only that was her only speciality. But you know what? These spirit guides, these gods, these goddesses, angels, or demons, whatever it is that you want to work with, and you're akin to it, that's fine. But this goddess, okay, she has become something a lot more than just the goddess of the crossroads. I see her more as an all-purposeful goddess. And what I mean by that is, I know that I've made mention before that I've been seeking employment, okay? And I had, such good benefits of it, And I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I know I have my dream job in the works, which is very difficult to get. And I mean very difficult. It's a government job, mind you. So I just spoke to Hecate about that a while back, and the process is going well. It's going great. But now I need a job that's going to help me, I guess, how can I put this, to keep me occupied until they give me that ring, So she hooked me up with that too. Now, the reason why that I'm saying this is not so much that, look what I got and look at what you don't have. Of course not. Not in an antagonizing fashion anyway. But I will say that if it pushes you to actually want to work with her, then go right ahead. If it pushes you to continue working with whatever being that you are currently working with and to boost that faith that you have, then go right ahead. Take the advice. But I thought that that little miniature experience about my employment would be of benefit. Now, the reason being, friends, is that I think a lot about Western ceremonial magic when I thought about how these things manifest. And what I mean by that is that you have to look at the Lover's Arcana card. Okay? You look at the Lover's Arcana card, you see how the female is looking at the male, and then the male, you see, is just staring at her. But the female is looking up at the angel above, or representing the divine. And though this is a spiritual discussion, we could still link this with the physical. Now, why is that? How is that so? Well, we know that it is the man that penetrates the female, and then she gives birth. It's no different than the Lover's Arcana. See, spiritually speaking, what it's saying is that the man is preoccupied by looking at the woman, right? He's the conscious mind, okay? He's the will, he's the fire. He wants to impress, his will upon her. And then the female is the receiver, okay? And what she's going to do is that she's going to take that will, and then she's going to give birth to what that will ordains. And that is in connection with the divine. No wonder why, people say that females or mothers, well, they're a gift from God or the divine or the source, whatever it is that you want to call it, because they give birth to children. It's divine. Now, you connect that with what I'm talking about with Hecate. I had to think first about my employment. Just like you have to think first. That's the will, the masculine. We all have masculine and feminine within us. So therefore, what we do is that we think first. We have the will of wanting something first. And then we impress it upon what? Well, the feminine divine, or the subconscious mind. And then that will give birth to the thing that we're asking for in connection with the divine, because the whole process is divine. But it's the feminine divine that does it. Okay? So that's why what we need to do is that when we think about the spirit guides that we work with, we have to have a firm understanding. Okay? That's why when you think about, and here's my reference to, Western ceremonial magic, they do borrow from Judaism, right? Because it is still in somehow Christian. Let's just put it this way. When you combine Western ceremonial magic, you think about the tree of life. Okay? We think about that. We think about Malkut. Okay? Sorry if I mispronounced it, but that's the one that represents the ground, right? And it's touching man's feet. So in other words, spiritually speaking, we want to be grounded, okay, in our thinking and in our activities. That's why we are standing in between the two pillars of mercy and severity. Okay? One is not greater than the other. We want to be balanced. So therefore, when we are working with these beings, we want to be balanced. Okay? Some in Western ceremonial magic will tell you that you have to do what is called the middle pillar ritual. Okay? And I don't have the time within this video to dish that out to you, but I will say look it up. And it'll help you to appreciate how to be balanced, to ground yourself. That's why when I work with such beings of any pantheon, albeit angel, demon, god, goddess, or whatever, I keep my expectations low and I continue doing what it is that I have to do, because I know that when I work with these beings, that once I leave that chamber or I cease speaking with them, the thing that I asked for is as good as done. You see, because I'm grounded. I'm not going to be obsessed over it, and I'm not going to be completely just wishy-washy or not, believing in it at all. I'm going to be grounded. So that's why in this Witchcraft 101, when I made this video, I thought about, in a very fundamental step, how could I impress upon the audience to take all this information and to just put it into their lives? Well, first of all, you need to make contact. And this is, of course, a choice if you want to work with spirit guides. You can do all this all on your own, mind you. You don't need to make a contract. You don't need to do any of that. You could do this all on your own. It'll take time. But of course, this video is working with such beings, okay? Because I do enjoy working with them. I love that extra push. I love the whole idea that we're going to get into, which is the first step. And that is to listen as well as being aware. They work hand in hand. Because as you already know, you work your abilities, okay? You work your abilities, that's your chakras. And what you do with that is that as you open up your chakras enough, you start to see things, know things, and all these magnificent things come to you. But you know what? I thought that if a person doesn't listen to the spirit guide that they are communicating with, then what's the point? Okay? Then what's the point? So therefore, listening is essential, even though it could be very outrageous. It could come from the future, if you will. So they could be prophetic in what it is that they're telling you. And I know I spoke a little bit about Hecate because she's the main goddess I work with. But I also work with Lucifer. And Lucifer has come to me. And he comes to me and he talks to me about future events. And sometimes when I'm confused and all, he looks at me and he's like, you just don't understand, do you? But you know what? By working with him, I will tell you this, absolutely. His reputation precedes him. It goes way ahead of him. Because when he touches me with that Luciferian light and he enlightens me and he makes this whole ordeal that I have within, this conflict, he just sheds light on it. So now, when I think about what he tells me in the future, it's more likely. And why do you think that is? Because I've listened and I was aware of all the things that he told me. Like, for example, you're speaking with a spirit guide, a being outside of yourself that could also speak within you. Use your own memories, your own voice to communicate with you. And that's also okay. But the point is the results. So the point is, as I'm communicating with Lucifer, he's literally telling me how to do research on my computer. Literally telling me, okay, let's just say, for example, he goes, well, through the money management, they'll give you, a small business. And I go, is that really true? So if this is from the future, this is just me asking questions, if this is from the future, then where's this small business located? And then what he'll do is that he'll tell me to do research, and I'll research it to realize that what he told me by doing research is that there's a small business in the location that he fucking told me. You cannot tell me that if you're sitting on your fucking couch, okay, you're fucking playing a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S or something like that, and you just so happen to know at random where a particular business is at across the United States or across the world, specifically, that to me is mind-boggling. I cannot do that on my own. So that's the benefits of listening, or we could also say, which works hand in hand with that, is to be aware. Because once you're doing both of them and you're being balanced, the things that they tell you is only going to be the beginning of a very beautiful friendship. A very beautiful friendship. So that's why I want to encourage all of you in this Witchcraft one-on-one. Please, if there's anything to keep in mind, is that when you're working with your spirit guides, okay? 1, you need to listen and be aware, okay? 2, keep in mind the formula. Think about the lover's arcana, the male who impresses his will upon the female, and the female who is the receiver who gives birth. And she's connected to the divine, because it is very divine when the mother gives birth to a child, because it's another human being. You see? We want to keep that in mind. And then as we do so, then you'll be just like me, having these results, and then you tell others about it. You see, you could give credence to Western ceremonial magic. You could give credence to the Kabbalah, if you will, and so forth. Because I don't mind working with different systems of magics and pantheons. If it gives me results, then that's what I'm going to work with. You see? So that's why I feel that in this video, when we are talking about spirit guides, though it's very fundamental, it's elementary, it is equally important as the advanced information that we will get into sometime in the future. So, with all this said, I love every single one of you. And please, come back and have a listen to Witchcraft 101.